It happened in late October, somewhere in a quiet farming town where Halloween wasn't about haunted houses or parties, it was about tradition. Every year, on the last Friday before Halloween, the townspeople lit lanterns and hung them on the edge of their cornfields. They said it was to keep the wanderers away. Nobody really explained who the wanderers were, but everyone followed the custom. I didn't grow up there. I moved to town that summer, renting a small farmhouse just outside the main road. I thought the whole lantern thing was just a small-town superstition, until that night. That evening, I was sitting on my porch, laptop open, trying to finish work before midnight. The air smelled like cold soil and dry leaves. In the distance, I could see a faint orange glow, the lanterns swaying in the fields like tiny breathing stars. Around 11:30, I heard something strange. At first, I thought it was just the wind moving through the stalks. But then I noticed. It wasn't random. The sound had rhythm. Step, pause, step, pause. Something was walking through the cornfield. I turned off the porch light and listened. The footsteps stopped. Then faintly I saw one of the lanterns move. Not sway, but shift, like someone had picked it up and started walking with it. I told myself it was probably a farmer checking his crops, but the direction didn't make sense. Whoever it was, they were moving toward my property. My dog, Rex, started growling from inside. He wasn't the kind of dog that growled for no reason. The hair along his neck was standing straight up. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped off the porch. The cornfield was maybe 30 feet from my back fence, and the rows of tall, dry stalks looked like a dark ocean in the moonlight. "Hello?" I called out. My voice felt small against the wind. No answer. The lantern's glow flickered, dimmed, and then disappeared. The field went black. That's when I heard it again. Footsteps, but closer this time, coming from the edge of the fence. Rex barked wildly, slamming against the door. Then, silence. No wind, no insects. Just complete, heavy quiet. I stood frozen, flashlight trembling in my hand. The beam cut across the fence and landed on something that made my stomach drop. A lantern, hanging on my side of the fence. It hadn't been there before. The light inside it flickered weakly, casting shadows across the ground. I took a hesitant step closer and saw something inside the lantern. A piece of paper, folded tightly around the candle. Against every instinct, I reached out and opened it. It was a map, a hand-drawn map of my property. And right in the middle, in thick red ink, was a small X marked behind my barn. I wanted to believe it was some elaborate prank, maybe the neighbors messing with the new guy in town. But when I turned toward the barn, I realized the back door was slightly open. I hadn't opened it. Every light in the house was off now. My dog had gone completely quiet. I told myself I'd just take a quick look. One quick look and get it over with. The closer I got to the barn, the colder the air felt. The grass was wet, like it had just rained, though the sky was clear. I shined my flashlight through the gap in the door, and my breath caught. Inside, there were more lanterns, dozens of them, lined in a circle on the ground. And in the center of the circle was something that looked like a scarecrow. It was made of old clothes stuffed with straw, but the head wasn't a pumpkin or a sack. It was a mask, pale, cracked, almost human. I whispered, "What the hell?" and stepped back. That's when the lanterns went out. All at once. I ran. I didn't even look behind me. I locked the doors, grabbed my dog, and waited until sunrise. The next morning, I went outside, against every bit of common sense I had left. The barn door was open again, but the inside was empty. No lanterns, no scarecrow, no sign of anything, except for the dirt floor. There, in the exact spot where the scarecrow had stood, was a shallow hole, freshly dug. And next to it, half buried in the soil, was that same folded map. But now, the red X was gone. Instead, in shaky handwriting, someone had written across the paper, "Thank you for lighting the way." That night, I saw new lanterns burning at the edge of every field in town again, including mine. But this time, nobody hung them. They were already there. It happened one October when I was 13. We lived in a small two-story house just outside a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where everyone left their porch lights on for Halloween and knew each other by name. Back then, I loved Halloween. It wasn't just the candy or costumes, it was the atmosphere. The orange lights, the sound of leaves crunching underfoot, the smell of wood smoke in the air. But that year, something felt different. My dad had been out of town for work, and my mom was working late shifts at the hospital. That meant most evenings it was just me and my older sister, Danielle. We were used to being alone, but in the week leading up to Halloween, strange things started happening. It began small, little noises from under the porch. Our dog Baxter would stand by the door at night, ears perked, growling softly. When I went outside with a flashlight, I'd hear something. A faint scraping like nails on wood. But every time I looked under there, nothing. Danielle joked it was probably raccoons, so we ignored it. A few days later, we started finding candy on the porch. Not wrapped candy, loose pieces, little chocolates, gumdrops, even a caramel apple once sitting right on the step. At first, I thought maybe a neighbor kid dropped them, but then it kept happening. Every single night, around the same time, sometime after 9 p.m., there'd be new candy on the porch. Mom brushed it off. Probably some prank for Halloween, she said. But when I asked the neighbors, nobody knew what I was talking about. That's when I started feeling it. That quiet kind of fear that sits behind your ribs, waiting for a reason to grow. The night before Halloween, I stayed up late watching TV in the living room. Danielle had already gone to bed. Around 11:40, I heard Baxter growl again, low, steady. Then, thud. It came from under the floorboards, another thud, then another. I turned off the TV, listening. The sound was right below me, under the porch. The floor creaked softly like someone was crawling. My stomach twisted. Slowly, I went to the window and pulled the curtain just enough to peek outside. The yard was empty, but the porch light was flickering, and right there, at the bottom of the steps, was more candy. This time, arranged in a small, neat pile. I wanted to call Danielle, but I didn't want to sound paranoid, so I just grabbed my flashlight and, stupidly, went to the front door. The cold air hit me when I stepped out. Everything was still. The wind, the trees, even the crickets. I crouched near the steps and shined the light underneath the porch. At first, all I saw were leaves and pipes. Then my beam landed on something pale. A face. It was there only for a second. Two eyes staring back, wide open, reflecting the light. I dropped the flashlight and scrambled backward, slamming into the door. The light rolled in a slow arc across the ground, and for that split second before it went out, I saw a hand. Dirty. Thin. Reaching. I ran inside, locked the door, and didn't move for the rest of the night. The next morning, I told my mom everything. She looked worried but tried to stay calm. We called the police. 2 officers came and checked under the porch. They found nothing. No footprints. No signs of entry. Nothing.
Probably just a Halloween scare. Kids pull this kind of thing all the time.
But when he stood up, he was holding something in his hand. A small lollipop. The wrapper was torn, sticky, and smeared with something dark. Halloween night came anyway. Danielle convinced Mom to let us hand out candy for a while, just like every year. I didn't want to, but I stayed near the door, watching the porch light flicker. Around 9:30, most of the trick-or-treaters were gone. The street was quiet again. Then the candy bowl by the door tipped over. By itself. We both froze. A faint noise came from under the floor again, like breathing.
It's just the pipes.
But I saw the doorknob move, slowly. I turned off the light. For a moment, the house was completely dark. except for the weak glow from outside. That's when we both saw it, a shadow moving under the porch, fast. Something crawled from one end to the other, long arms, low to the ground, moving too smoothly to be human.
Danielle screamed.
Mom came running in seconds later. By the time she got there, the shadow was gone. The police came again, same result. Nothing. Except this time, they found footprints, bare feet, leading away from the porch, down the road, and vanishing at the edge of the woods. 2 weeks later, the neighbor across the street was cleaning out his shed. He called my mom over. Under a tarp, behind some boxes, he found what looked like an old sleeping bag. And inside it, piles of candy wrappers, empty cans, and a small notebook. The pages were filled with shaky handwriting, dates, addresses, and short notes like porch light on, 2 kids home, dog quiet. The last page just said, "Tomorrow's Halloween, she'll see me this time." They never found the man. The police think he was a transient, someone who moved from house to house, hiding where no one looked. But sometimes, even now, when I walk up those porch steps at night, I swear I hear something shift below me, like someone rolling over, trying not to be heard. When I was in university, Halloween was never a big deal where I lived. At least, not until that one year when everyone suddenly decided to throw a massive campus party. I wasn't really the type to dress up, but my roommate Hannah wouldn't take no for an answer. She said, "Come on, it's your last year, don't be boring." The problem was I didn't have a costume. Every shop near campus was either sold out or ridiculously expensive. That's when Hannah mentioned something weird.
She won't care if you borrow one.
It sounded harmless enough. So that evening, we went down to the storage room, a cold concrete basement beneath the dorm building. The air was thick with dust and that old smell of damp cardboard. We found the box tucked under a broken shelf, taped shut, with Mina K. written on the side in fading marker. Inside were a few random things, a witch hat, a plastic scythe, and at the bottom, neatly folded, was a black and white costume that looked like an old-fashioned doll's dress. It was simple but elegant, exactly my size, exactly. I remember saying, "Wow, she must have taken good care of this," because the fabric looked spotless, almost too clean for something left in a basement. That night, I wore it to the party. The event was held at an off-campus club, loud music, flashing lights, fake cobwebs everywhere. Hannah went as a vampire. Everyone complimented my outfit, saying it looked vintage and authentic. I started to enjoy myself until around midnight, when the room began to feel too warm. It wasn't the crowd, it was me. The dress felt heavy, like the fabric was clinging to my skin. I went to the restroom to check, and when I looked in the mirror, I froze. My makeup, simple red lipstick and pale foundation, looked darker somehow. The red had deepened to almost crimson. My skin was so pale it looked drained. And my reflection. I can't explain it, but it didn't move in sync with me. There was the faintest delay, like a video lagging half a second behind.
Come on, you okay in there? You look like you've seen a ghost. I forced a smile and told her I was fine. But inside, I wasn't.
For the rest of the night, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. Whenever I glanced at my reflection, in a mirror, a window, even a phone screen, there was something slightly off. A small twitch in my smile that I hadn't made. By 2 a.m., I'd had enough. I told Hannah I was heading back to the dorm. The walk home was quiet. The streets were empty except for a few stragglers in costumes. I remember passing a shop window and catching my reflection again. Only, I wasn't alone. Behind me, in the reflection, was someone standing shoulder to shoulder with me. A woman in the same black and white dress, except hers was torn, dirty, soaked in what looked like mud or something darker. When I turned around, there was no one there. I ran the rest of the way back. In the dorm room, I pulled the costume off and shoved it into my closet. My skin felt cold, like static had crawled across it. I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes. Someone else wearing the dress, spinning under bright lights, then collapsing. When morning came, Hannah was still asleep. I quietly took the costume and went back down to the storage room to return it. But when I got there, the box was gone. All that was left on the floor was a small, cracked photo frame lying face down. I picked it up. It was a picture of a group of girls in costume, one of them wearing the same dress I'd worn. The date on the corner read October 31st, just a few years ago. On the back of the photo, someone had written, "For Mina, the night we'll never forget."
Wait. Mina? You mean the Mina who... Apparently, Mina had died during a Halloween party her sophomore year. Collapsed suddenly. Heart failure, they said. She'd been wearing that same black and white dress. The school never mentioned it publicly, and most students just forgot.
That night, I burned the costume behind the dorm building. The fabric turned to ash quickly, too quickly. And as it burned, I swear I heard faint laughter echoing through the air, like it was coming from deep underground.
The next morning, Hannah told me something that still makes my stomach turn. She said she'd gone to check the dorm basement out of curiosity, and there was a new box under that same broken shelf, freshly taped, with my name written on the side.
Every neighborhood has that one house, the one parents warn their kids to stay away from. In my town, it was the small greenhouse at the end of Calle 9, a quiet street lined with jacaranda trees and old power poles that buzzed when it rained. The house wasn't abandoned, it just waited. Every Halloween, without fail, the porch light would turn on at exactly 7 p.m. No one ever saw who lived there. No one ever saw anyone go in or out. But there was always a bowl of candy sitting on the steps. The rumor among kids was simple. You could take candy from the bowl, but never knock on the door. When I was 11, my friends and I thought the story was just an urban legend meant to scare little kids. That year, we made a bet. Whoever knocked on the greenhouse's door would win $10 and a week of bragging rights at school. There were 4 of us: me, Diego, Lucia, and Tomas. We dressed as a skeleton, a vampire, a ghost, and I went as a cheap zombie with face paint my mom helped me with. We started trick-or-treating early, laughing, running door to door, stuffing our pillowcases with candy. The night was warm, the air smelled like sugar and smoke from fireworks in the distance. By 80, we'd covered almost every house, except that one, the greenhouse. It looked exactly like everyone described. Small, single-story, shutters closed tight, and the paint was peeling like old skin. But the porch light glowed steady and warm. On the bottom step sat a small plastic bowl filled to the top with perfectly wrapped candies. Not the cheap kind either, but the good stuff. Chocolate bars, caramels, toffees.
See? It's just some old lady who's shy. Let's grab a few and go. My cousin said her friend took candy from there last year and the next morning she got really sick. Yeah, right. Probably too much sugar. Come on, you're the brave one, right? Knock on it just once.
I wish I hadn't. The porch steps creaked as I climbed them. The air around the house felt thicker somehow. I could hear my friends whispering behind me, holding their breath. When I reached the door, I saw something carved into the wood. Small, crooked letters. Don't make them wait. I raised my hand and knocked twice. Tap, tap. At first, nothing happened. Then, from inside, I heard the faint sound of footsteps. Slow, dragging, uneven. The porch light flickered. The air turned cold. The footsteps stopped just behind the door. And then, the handle began to turn. Guys? The street was empty. Silent. Even the wind had stopped.
You came late this year.
I ran. I don't remember how far or how long. Just the pounding of my heart and the crinkling sound of that candy wrapper in my pocket. Mom, you've been gone for over 3 hours. Protagonist. But that couldn't be right. It had only been a few minutes. I told her about my friends, the house, the voice. But she just said I must have gotten scared and lost track of time.
Narrator, off screen. The next morning, Diego's mom called the police. He hadn't come home. Neither had Lucia or Tomas. The town searched for days, but they were never found. I didn't tell anyone about the candy until years later. I'd kept it, that gold-wrapped piece, hidden in a drawer. I never opened it. But one night, curiosity got the better of me. When I peeled the wrapper back, the candy inside wasn't chocolate. It was a small dried-out tooth, and beneath it, written on the inside of the foil, were 4 names. Mine was the last one. After that, I moved away. But every Halloween, no matter where I am, someone leaves a small green box at my door. Inside is always a single gold-wrapped candy, and a note that says, "It's your turn to wait."
And that ends tonight's Halloween special. 4 real stories from 4 different corners of the world, each one a quiet reminder that not every shadow is empty, and not every door should be knocked on. Thank you for spending your Halloween night with us. If you enjoyed these stories, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more true horror every week. And if you've ever had a Halloween that didn't feel quite right, you can send us your story, because some memories don't fade when the night ends. They wait. And sometimes, they come back.